Okay, here we are, ready to assemble. We're going to start with the base plate. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to install a new set of feet, new set of legs, whatever you want to call them. I call them feet. Okay, we've got this kit. All right, and you probably remember the from the teardown video, the old feet. There was two, and then we had to grind off the rivets or the retainers, really kind of retainers that were peened over. All right, so here's the old kit, or here's the old parts, and those will end up getting discarded, and then we have a brand new kit here. Okay. Okay, so this kit comes with the screws, the new rubber feet, and spacers. Okay, so and then we also have barrel nuts, which are really nice. That'll give it a really nice finished look on the top. Okay. What we need to do first, though, is because the hole is diameter of the hole mounting point smaller than the new screws slightly, we're going to bore that out. Okay, so we can attach these. So pretty much on all of these electric motors, there isn't a way to turn the unit on and off except for by plugging it in and then unplugging it, which I'm not really a big fan of. So, okay, so this is the motor end of the plate. Okay, the base plate. There's a hole here that was drilled through from the previous owner. It was a mounting bolt for, if you recall from part one of this three-part series, this was a hole that was drilled to put a mounting bolt for a dolly. Okay, so What we're going to do is, being that the hole's here, we're not going to be utilizing that dolly. So what we will do is we'll utilize that hole, the existing hole, for our new on-off toggle power switch. Okay, so the only thing we have to do is we just have to widen the hole to fit the new switch. To do that, we're going to use a step drill. Okay, and the last size on this step drill is exactly what we need for the switch. So we're just going to go all the way through with this. Okay, so as you can see, we have the on-off switch installed. We are now going to install the information plate. Okay, and what we did was we cleaned and polished the original plate, got it as good as possible. Um, we wanted to keep it original. All right, so not only do we want this to look good, we also want it to be very safe. Okay, so back in the 40s, they didn't use grounding wires that much, three prong. So the factory cable, which went directly to the motor, was a two prong, so there's no ground. Okay, so if there's an electrical short, you could have an issue. All right, so we're updating to a three prong system. Okay, the ground. So we've got a new unit here. Um, nice safety insulated mounting point. Okay, so this is what we're going to utilize. So what we did was, so this would stay very visually appealing, we drilled a hole in the base in the back. Okay, so we are going to mount that through the back. Okay. We are just going to apply some lubricant. Okay, so you can see we've got the new power cord installed. Looks great. Okay, came out really nice. Updated power cord with a ground, a three prong. Okay, we've got our on-off switch here. We decided actually to go with on-off push button. Okay, that worked out better. Okay, now what we want to do is run some piping for the electrical, the wiring coming down from the motor. Okay, so the motor is going to be here. So we're going to run some piping down from here. And what we did was we tapped a 1/2 inch hole here, okay, to accept the piping. We're going to use brass. This piece of piping is going to go in here. And then it's going to attach to the motor back here. So you can see how nice that looks. Okay. Okay, so we got all the electric in. We got the piping in for the to feed the motor. What we did was we're going to mount the motor now, but before we did that, we made an anti-vibration mat. Okay, so the motor is not rotating, or directly metal to metal. Okay, so I think it's a good idea to always have an anti-vibration mat. So we created one out of 1/8 inch thick rubber. All right, so we applied the high temp gaskets that we made. And then we followed that up with Permatex high temp sealer, just in case there's any minute voids. The Permatex will take care of that. Alright, so now we got our head assembly. We're just going to drop that on. We're really just bottoming these out for now, just to make sure everything's tightened evenly. I'm not torquing them, just want that gasket to have pressure on it. Alright, so the factory specifications calls for torquing the head bolts to anywhere in between 120 and 110 inch-pounds. And you know, to the factory specs. We've got our torque wrench here, and so we're going to go ahead and do that now. We're going to torque them each to 5. Okay, now we're going to go to 10. 10. 10. 10. All right. And after we run it a bit, well, first of all, I just want to indicate that whenever torquing, you should follow the specifications from the manufacturer. Okay, there's generally a torque sequence. Okay, especially when you're dealing with more than 4 bolts. Okay, with 4 bolts, it's generally a crisscross. Okay, so boom, 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 like that. You know, but if you have more, you know, the manufacturer will have a spec of the sequence that has, you know, that needs to be followed. Okay, if you don't follow it, you could run into some issues with possible warping, you know, things of that nature. So you're going to want to make sure that you follow that. Okay. There could be a variation in the torquing depending on what type of gasket you use as well. So if you use the manufacturer's gaskets or something like the manufacturer's gaskets, like a high temp gasket like we used, you know, you're going to want to go based on the specs from the manufacturer. If you're just using like an RTV type liquid silicone maker, the specs will probably be different. Okay, so you'll want to check that out. Make sure you check into that. Okay, so but anyway, what I was going to say was after we run this for a little while, it heats up. We run it maybe in like you know, after running it a couple times, we'll check the torque again just to make sure. All right, so to do the torquing today, we used a Craftsman torque wrench. of course, what else would we be using on a Craftsman compressor? Okay, so this happens to be a vintage Craftsman torque wrench. We've had this for about 40 years. Okay, model 44481. It's an excellent unit, very accurate. Yeah, very happy with it. Got the new gasket on there. Okay, not using any sealant here because this plate is meant to be removed. Not often, but more often than the head would be. So there's also no real pressure psi behind this. Very, very, very slight. So